Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our session. We're going to be talking today about Amazon Bedrock and creating a strong agentic foundation. I realized coming into this, we gave it that title, and I didn't make that connection between foundation and Bedrock. Works really well. I'm going to claim it. Quick intros. So my name is Cody Irwin. I'm the head of data partners here at Domo. I have with me today Aman and Nick from AWS. Much more impressive than I am. I'm here just to kind of intro and kind of keep it flowing. They're the minds behind this. We're very excited for their partnership and very excited to kind of walk through how Domo and AWS really make Agentic work very well for our customers. To kick things off, in today's keynote, Josh talked a lot about Agentic. How many of you, before coming to Domopalooza, had heard about Agentic? Okay, a lot of you had, some hadn't. I'll admit, as of like 4 or 5 months ago, I hadn't heard a lot about it. I think it's been moving very, very, very fast. Like back then, like as Domo, we were talking like heavily about chat. And like chat's everything, chat's gonna change the world. And chat is very intriguing. But we're finding more and more that Agentic is really revolutionizing what's happening in the space. I love this quote from Swami. Like really, businesses are seeing this opportunity where Agentic will drive more efficiency than we've ever seen before. I think we're on the precipice of a shift like the printing press, like the Industrial Revolution, the internet, the push to mobile. And that's pretty bold. But most thought leaders are kind of pushing that direction, saying this is going to change how things operate. This is a whole new paradigm. I imagine, coming to Domopalooza this year, you probably thought AI would be a pretty big part of it. It is the AI and data conference, what we called it this year. But a lot of you that come before probably thought more like, hey, Domo's kind of more for dashboards. Domo has dashboards, Domo has integrations, ETL. And kind of looking back on the founding of Domo, I started Domo in 2012, so about 2 years after founding. And I remember coming to Domo, talking to Josh, getting kind of vision for what the company was. And that was never the intention. The goal of Domo was not to build connectors and dashboards. It wasn't to build ETL. It wasn't to build goals or buzz or all these things. The goal was to optimize businesses. Like Josh's vision of Domo was to be able to run his business from his phone. And fast forward 15 years. We're kind of finally getting there. I was in the meeting where we were talking to Josh and talked about how Domo was built for this moment. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, like we feel that way. We feel like we're kind of finally hitting this point where what we were trying to do is actually something we can do. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to go deeper into how we can do that, how we can walk that path. I'm going to pass over really quickly to Nick to kind of talk through what are agents, kind of demystifying that concept.
Thank you, Cody. It's wonderful to be here. So just a quick thing. How many of you are AWS customers already or used AWS in the past? So quite a few of you. So the presentation we're going to do is going to kind of demystify agents and also go into some of the things that you need to build an agent, whether using Domo's platform or AWS platform. So first of all, what is an agent, right? And I think what I have on the slide out here is to compare and contrast how you do traditionally versus agentic approach. The one on the left is how we have always done programming. You declare a set of roles, whatever language, your favorite programming language, Java, C++, whatever it is, and then you execute it and it follows that same set of instructions. So here it is a very simple one. It is going through and sorting some mail that is coming in. And you'll also notice that there is a business rule there as well. It says if the amount is greater than $1,000, get an approval from a manager. So again, this has not really changed at all, whether we did it on-prem or with different programming languages or in the cloud. Now, the agentic approach is very different. You'll see that on the right. You just tell it what you want done. You say process the email and give it some context, and it all happens. So almost like magic, right? So that's why everybody is so excited about it. I've been in the tech business for a long time, and this is probably the most exciting thing to happen ever, because if you really think about it, if you don't have to write those rules, then anybody can write these programs. And also, you'll see a lot of hard coding being done on the left. $1,000, what if it gets raised to $5,000 today? So you have to go back, fix your code. I mean, most of the effort done in software development today is fixing old code, right? That's why businesses are not agile, because you have to, business conditions change, but your software is still, has to go get upgraded. So if we go to the next slide, this talks about what an agent is at a very foundational level. And I think Josh's presentation this morning was great. He talked about everything that goes to build an agent securely and run it at scale. But I put it down to 4 essential elements out here. The first is the LLM, or the large language model. So this is Cloud, this is OpenAI, this is Bedrock, Nova. There are lots of them out there, and many more will come. This is really the brains of how an agent works. So you give it a task, it breaks it down. It says, OK, what do I need to execute this task? So let's say, and it will do that step by step, and then it will kind of iterate on that. So it makes a plan on how to execute a task that you have given it to do it. The second thing is these foundation models or large language models are not trained on your enterprise data. So for example, how would it know that your approval limit is $1,000? That's where you need to go retrieve your enterprise data, which is your biggest asset. So that's where the retrieval comes in, the knowledge bases and other things. So it will go and retrieve that. And the third piece of this is the tools. Sometimes you have to go outside and grab data. It is going to a database, running a query from the database, or going to a stock, getting a stock price, or doing some calculation. So the tools provide you access to that. And I think there was on the presentation by Darren today, he talked about data products, tools, metadata, data. So this is kind of very aligned with that as well. And the final piece out here is the memory. Memory makes sure that the context is kept between interactions. So when I go back and talk to the agent, it remembers who I am, or what I've done in the past, or where it could be there. Different kinds of memory, like long-term, short-term, so forth. But the memory kind of gives you the ability to personalize things as well as keep the context between invocations. So those are the 4 elements that make up an agent. So when you put them all together, what you get is something which is goal-oriented, means you give it a goal and it will go execute for us. It is autonomous, meaning it does not require a lot of human supervision. It can run on its own because it can evaluate itself. It's adaptable because things change. It can nothing is hard coded in because it can go retrieve it and act on it, and it can make decisions for you. So that in a nutshell is how an agent actually works. And then with that, I'll turn it back to you, Cody, and I'll be back for our Bedrock.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, so I'm sure many of us have encountered agents out there. Agents have done a very good job of going B2C. I'm sure most of us have used ChatGPT or Grok. Like, for example, I have my second oldest son, he's 11. He plays lacrosse. Right now in lacrosse, mullets are really cool. So he has a flowing mullet. And I've nicknamed him the Sparkly Stallion. It's like a horse's mane. I could go to ChatGPT. I could say, write me a poem about the Sparkly Stallion. And it would give that to me. I think we've all seen the B2C use cases. The reality is, like most emerging tech, it's very, very hard for that B2C use case to kind of push into B2B. There tends to be that kind of nuances in making that transition. And I love these quotes from Tom Godin at AWS, really doing this well. Going agentic, pushing into the new AI space requires a very strong data foundation. You have to have a good data foundation. And this is private data. These LLMs are really good on public data. They have access to a lot of data out there, but the private data can be very, very hard. There's also the challenge of really deploying it. For example, I was at a conference a few weeks ago talking to someone about data science. And we were talking about infrastructure and tooling, and I was talking about Domo, because that's my job, is to talk about Domo and why we're awesome. And he's like, why would I ever need Domo? I have all these cool data sciencey tools over here to do awesome things. I'm like, well, how do you get it to your business? How do you actually get it to market? And there wasn't a great answer there. It's really hard to kind of take that last mile and get things out there. With that in mind, a lot of organizations face that holdback. They're like, okay, we know AI has this amazing promise. It's going to revolutionize everything we do. We have cool data. We have intelligent people. How do we connect those dots? There's massive chasms between those 2 elements. And what we're finding more and more is by partnering with companies like Amazon, we have a very, very good story. We check those boxes. Those chasms can be crossed. Bedrock is amazing technology for generative AI. Like lots of cool models, lots of complex reasoning. Domo's really good at getting data to the business user. That was Josh's founding hypothesis, is that business users need access to data. We're also very good at connecting to that data. And by merging the systems together, on the Domo side, tapping into what we call Samurai, it's our connectors and kind of back end, tapping into App Studio, but building things on Bedrock, we can really create amazing experiences. To go deeper into this, I think this slide may have come up earlier in one of the presentations, but I want to kind of double click into this. As Domo, we've decided strategically to not really compete in the LLM space as much. That's not what we want to do. That's not who we are. Like, we're a really good company at getting solutions to the business. And so we've kind of leaned in this model of abstracting away the actual kind of the AI and making it easy to work with within Domo. So in this case, over on the far left-hand side, we have that third-party hosted model. I put Bedrock in large print there. Like, that sits there. Like, it can be used both with like built-in functionality in Domo, as well as extended functionality, like building agents. Who's used Domo Chat in the product before? Has anyone used that yet? So Domo Chat is powered by Bedrock. We call it Domo GPT. It's actually Anthropic Claude on Bedrock. Like, it's not Domo going out and building an LLM. Like, we decided it's probably better for us to work with a company that does it really, really, really well, and to surface that. We started tapping into the Nova models for image generation and doing things like that. And we're going to keep leaning that direction, where we build best-in-class kind of pre-built agentic solutions, conversational agents, image agents. Then we also provide a model management layer to make it super easy to use those in your own very specific use case. With that in mind, we're going to kind of double-click into what Bedrock is, go a little deeper on that, and then we're going to walk through a few demos of like how it can be used to really solve cool problems.
Thank you, Cody. And oops, I think I went too far. Shift. Okay, there we go. So we talked about what makes up an agent, the four pieces that make up an agent. So this again goes through like what it does. I mean, you can see that it executes an action, observes the results, and then iterates on that. So end of the day, agents are software. Software, you need many different pieces to make it scale, make it run securely. And what we have done with Amazon Bedrock is to provide you with all those capabilities and tools to make it really easy for you to build, easy for you to run it, deploy it at scale, and do it in a very secure manner as well. So I'll go through a couple of them on this slide. The first one, as we said, is the LLM that you need. So one of the things that we have done with Bedrock is to give you a choice of LLM, because there's no one LLM that rules them all. And there are multiple LLMs based on the type of task you want to perform, whether it is like text to text, text to SQL, text to image. It could be any, or voice to voice in the future. It could be many different cases. So Bedrock gives you access to dozens of different models, and you can bring your own as well. If none of them suit your need, you can bring your own model into Bedrock. The second one is, how do you do multi-agent collaboration? Because this is one of the other things that's happening is, if you look at a large problem domain, there's not one agent, there are multiple agents. I mean, think about a company, right? You have, even in HR, you have somebody who specializes in benefits, somebody who specializes in onboarding employees. So the software can be modeled along the same way. And each of these agents can be backed by a different LLM. They can be trained on different set of data, and they can have different performance and other characteristics that you may want to enforce. Memory management is another thing. Memory management, as I said, lets you keep the context between conversation, but also helps you personalize things for your users. So it can remember who you are, and maybe even talk to you in a different way, talk to you in a different language. So memory management helps you with all of that. Then when you come into the developer tools in the bottom, like how do you debug these things, right? I mean, again, those things, because when you can actually see what the chain of thought agent goes through, and you can see what it is trying to do. And then you can use that to iterate on it and build on that with better prompting and so forth. And then you can access it either through a SDK or through the console and other tools. And finally, we got integration with, we talked about your private data, your enterprise data. How do you access it during one of these things, which is the RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, the knowledge bases that you have in your own enterprise. And finally, guardrails, which are really important because this is, again, an enterprise product. So you want to control what your users and your employees can ask and what the LLM can reply back with. Because, again, the LLM has been trained, many of these LLMs have been trained on internet data. So much of it may not be appropriate in your setting. And of course, you have to make sure that if a user cannot ask a question, for example, what is somebody's salary, they should not be able to bypass it by going through agents and so forth. So you got to make sure that you can enforce all of that securely in the platform. So with that, Aman has some great demos built up. So Aman, take it away.
Thank you, Nick. So folks, before we get to the demo part, I would want to speak a bit more about, like a 1-2 sentence, what Amazon Bedrock is. So Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service that provides you access to those foundation models from different model providers. So if you see those model providers, we partner with Anthropic, AI21 Labs, Cohere, and yeah, you can take a look at the DeepSeek. Well, that crashed the stock market, right? So now, last year, we launched our models, and we call it as Amazon Nova Foundation models. So as you can see that we have 4 flavors of these understanding models because we believe in model choice. We believe that people are going to use these different models for different use cases. Because when you're choosing a model, you are navigating through different constraints, cost, latency, what's the parameter size of each model. So we got 4 flavors in these models, starting with Nova Micro, laser fast, small model, low cost. And then we have these multimodal models. By the way, the Micro is a text-only model. What I mean by it is it accepts text as input and it outputs as text. The other 3 flavors, that is Nova Lite, Pro, and Premier, these are multimodal models, which means that they can ingest text, image, video, and they can output text. And then we have our creative content generation models that we are going to take a look at in the second demo, where you will see the images generated in that demo is generated by the Nova Canvas model. And then there will be a video that is running at the background, which is generated by the Amazon Nova Reel model. So do try these models out. And let's move forward with the first demo that I'm going to play. Now, imagine a scenario where Domo has a big retail customer, like Amazon. So, now can you flip to the presentation side, please? OK. Don't touch it. OK. So Domo has a big retail customer. And this retail customer is really having scaling challenges with customer experience, right? Whenever you go to Amazon, there are so many products. It's information overload. So what if we can create a customer support assistant for a retail company that helps your customers ask these questions, recommend products, troubleshoot any issues with the products, just having and elevating this customer experience by asking and answering as if like the customer is talking to a human being and navigating it through the entire e-commerce website. So let me run this video here. So as you can see, AI starts with data. This is the data that a retail company is storing in Domo. So just go through what are the different types of data that a retail company stores. Personalization data, product recommendation data, the purchase history of a customer, customer feedback, that's important, troubleshooting data when it comes to the products, and the troubleshooting guide. Now we will see a question that a customer asks. And it is a multi-step question. You can see how complex this question can be. And I will, sorry about that. Oh, can we play this video again? Got it, okay. So it's going with the data again. So let's go through the data again. So we have orders. Then we are going to move to the personalization data, product recommendation data. And now I'm going to talk about, since we have already gone through this thing, the customer is going to ask a question that is a multi-step question. The customer is asking, I have an issue with a product that I bought on your retail website. And in the same question, the customer is also asking, can you recommend me any similar products based on my personal preference? So now let's move to the question that the customer is asking. Now think about this question. If you are not using agents, how are you going to answer this question? What will it take to answer this question? Well, the first part of the question will definitely, you would want to tap into the troubleshooting data side. You can see that now the agent is kicking off, and the agent is able to go through all those steps that Nick was talking about. The agent has correctly identified that in order to answer this question, I have to kick off the troubleshooting agent because it is helping me to solve the troubleshooting part of the question. And the second agent is the product recommendation agent. So the model is thinking, and this is what we mean by understanding models. Now the models are so smart, they can think like a human being. They can come up with a plan of action like a human being would do to solve this problem, and then execute that plan of action. And once all this data is available, it's surfaced, they are going to aggregate that data and present it to the customer as if I'm talking to you and answering that question. And you can see the response. So the first part is giving the troubleshooting data, and the second part is the model is recommending the products based on the customer's personal preference. Okay. If you are a builder, if you would know how we have built this thing, you can see that the supervisor agent is the orchestrator. It classifies the intent of the question, and based on the question, it starts tapping into those agents, and those agents are specialized in doing and executing those specific tasks. So as Nick was saying, you are going to provide the tools and the access to the database and the APIs to each specific agent based on their role. So if you want to build this thing, please come at the booth and we can have a conversation. I can share you the architecture and we can go from there. Now, before that, I would like to share my other screen to give them a little bit of context. Now, the second part of the demo is, imagine I'm a content market strategist. I'm working for a chief marketing officer. The chief marketing officer is of a car manufacturing company, and they are going to launch their EV electric car in different regions of the world. The CMO is tasked by the CEO to come with a marketing campaign that shows their brand, that shows their car, the images, compelling images in front of the customers, a full marketing campaign where you can have 360-degree videos around the car. So this is what we have created, where we as AWS, we provide the content marketing strategist to define brand, primary product, language, country as prompts to our language models, our image generation and video generation and text generation models. So that's the first part. Then, as you might know, it is all about prompt engineering. Here you are defining the exact specific thing you want out of these models, and you're defining it. You are giving it a role. You're defining how the image would be. You're defining your brand. You are uploading your brand logos, and you're telling, this is what I want. And the final part is that based on these prompts, you are generating the campaign. Now, where is the agentic part coming up here? This is prompts. You are giving those prompts to image and video, and they're generating it. Well, if you look at those prompts, it's massive. This is really why we are seeing there are a lot of roles now available as prompt engineers, because these people are the whisperers of model. They know how to talk to these models to get the best possible output. What if now we use an agent that is going to create these prompts for you, so that these prompts get fed to the model, and then you get the best output. So you're using generative AI to create prompts, and those prompts are going to a generative AI application to get the output. So here you can see that this is a live. Hopefully the internet connection is working. The model is thinking, and now the model is now coming with a rationale. Whatever I have manually put into these prompts, now the agent is going to help me to hydrate this data. And now model is thinking. After completing each prompt, it is going to wait for my input so that I can give the model a green light to proceed. So you can see here, after a while, it will pop up a message and say that waiting for an input from you to proceed, which is waiting for input. So now can we go back to the presentation side? So what we have built using this. Customer segment to Japan. Okay, so that was the last demo. So if you're interested as a builder, if you want to know how I can build using Domo and AWS, please meet us at the booth, and I'm happy to dive deep into this architecture. And we will see what you have to build here. So thank you. Thank you for coming in here.
Awesome. Thanks, Aman. We do have time for Q&A if there are any questions. And I will say, too, one thing I love about this kind of presentation is we're going deep into some possibilities. I love that demo. We actually have a version of that in Domo that works right now that will actually pull data and create charts as part of that kind of cool mosaic experience. It's cool to see these things. I love the how a little more. I want to know, how does it work? Talk to them at the booth. We also have a couple sessions, one today, one tomorrow, where we're going deeper into building. How do we actually build these things? How do you interface from Domo against the AI service layer? How do you use Bedrock? How do you use Nova? So we'll talk more about that in that session. Are there any questions?
Oh, shit.
I got a runner. Yep.
So you used the AI to generate the prompts, but that's going to use a lot of credits, right? How do you explain to executives that instead of having a prompt engineer that's going to cost $100,000 a year, that you're going to use credits of $100,000 a year, but it will be good in the long run? Because that's the conversation I'm in the middle of now.
So by credits, I think he means Domo credits.
Domo credits or
No?
Credits generally.
Whatever it costs to run the AI, right?
Yeah.
Definitely want to dive deep into your use case. So like I said, we showed some of these models, but the first decision was okay, will be what is your use case? And then we will work backwards from there to select the best model. Maybe you don't need powerful models like this. Every model has a different price. As you have seen that the Bedrock is able to support not only Anthropic, Cohere, AI in 21 Labs, Meta, DeepSeek, which is open source. So now you can just run it securely on Bedrock.
I think part of it too, like going back to Josh's keynote today, we're all kind of facing this weird consternation. Like, what do humans do? What do machines do? Yeah. Where's the balance? And a lot of it's going to be kind of preferential initially, kind of proving it out. Like one thing we're finding, like with chat especially, is typically first run, people don't trust it. I think we inherently don't trust the robots. Like we've seen too many movies, we know how they end. I think it really is a matter of like kind of walking them through what it can do, and maybe even kind of POCing the two concepts. And it could be like we'd be happy, like if you want to follow up afterwards, about leaning in like, hey, we could bring a prompt engineer to the table to kind of like go through the experience and try it. We can try like Mosaic as like the actual like agent prompt builder and compare those things together and see like what we get.
The first agent was on you guys, right? Like Josh. So
yeah,
might be the first.
Yeah. So I think we should POC and kind of like bake it out. And end of the day, like your CEO may be like, you know what? I want a human. And if they want to do that, awesome. Then be like, you know what? Like this is pretty good. And over time, you can see like maybe efficiencies in doing it this way, and you walk that path. But yeah, that is, I think what you're bringing up is a bigger consternation that we're all kind of facing. Like, where's that line? Like, where's the line between the human and the agents?
Love to understand your use case better. So if you want to continue the conversation at the booth, so.
Also, the QR code here is for you to sign up.
Yes.
We are going to conduct a workshop. So if you're interested,
Building. Yeah.
Yeah, I should mention that. Yeah, we're going to do a workshop as well. Feel free to scan the QR code. We're going to do kind of like go deep into this outside Domopalooza. Just kind of walk through it.
Thanks. Testing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in the camp of I want to trust the robots. I do. I'll acknowledge I'm playing a bit of the role of the devil's advocate here, but truly a genuine question from my experience using these LLMs. So I'm a business analyst, and I find that often there are tons of edge cases that I come across as I'm writing my SQL, running it, refining my SQL again and again and again. And my experience with using GPT and Claude, and I don't have quite the same, you could call it like intimacy of familiarity with the data set by going through the plain written English as from when I'm writing the SQL. And this could totally be because this is new, this brand new technology, including me being new to using it. But I'm wondering, like the very early example you gave of routing an email to the right folks using plain written English, like maybe how would you use the LLM to get to know if you're setting up the rules right and catching those edge cases? My premise is that there will be plenty of edge cases most of the time. And then how do you kind of double check that the rule is set up, correctly?
Would you like to start? Yeah. I would categorize the use cases into two parts. One use case requires where you know that this is a workflow, that the path to the answer is very deterministic. The use case that we showed you, where the model has started thinking, which is that it can take any path to arrive at the final destination. It is not following one deterministic path. So like you code, you say that point A, text to SQL. Once you get the SQL, go to here, execute that SQL against a database. These are deterministic things. You don't want a model to think and deviate from that workflow. So I think we need to categorize that use case that you are talking about. This is more like the model is thinking like a human being, and it has its general intelligence. It's conceptual intelligence. It is really understanding the intent. And that's why these models, this entire solution is also slow. You saw that it took 20 seconds to come back with an answer, but the answer was really good, as if the human being is really thinking and not just answering it like a code runs. So happy to dive deep into his use case. I think he's more like text to SQL. Yeah, and I will say too, I love SQL. I taught classes at a university locally on SQL for a while. I love getting my hands dirty. I love knowing how things work there. What I'm finding more and more with Agentic AI is kind of this question around what's the best use of my time? And how can I use it to kind of shortcut things and get to places faster? For example, in Domo, we now have the ability to agentically create a dashboard.
I've created dashboards for years. I found that I use that more and more and more because I'm like, you know what? It's really good at laying down a baseline that I can adapt. I've even found like with strategy documents, like within Domo, we're obviously moving new directions. Instead of me sitting down in front of a word processor and writing out like a strategy, I'll say, hey, OpenAI, give me the baseline for this. Like do a first pass for me, and I'm going to go through and tweak that.
Yeah.
And I found that model tends to be a really solid model for a lot of people that are deep practitioners, but realize that kind of laying down baseline takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And like your example there, like you have deep knowledge, and it may actually be that you're better positioned to write that first version, or you could teach it and kind of say, hey, this is how I think about it. And like I'd love to like have you help me do this faster. Like this query is going to be super long. Keep these 5 things in mind and write this kind of statement for me. I can go in and quickly adapt.
Yeah, I think like we've had we are using code generation a lot inside of Amazon, and our customers are doing the same. And what we are finding out is everybody finds a sweet spot on how much to use the tool, how much to do it themselves. And like a lot of early career developers that we bring on, they use this to understand what's happening. And the more professionals, they use it to generate part of it. They check it. So it's building confidence in what it's writing over time as well. And I think the other one, I think Aman also pointed out, is picking the right use case for now so that you can build confidence on what it can and cannot do. And because you don't want it to be controlling a nuclear power plant yet, maybe not, but you can run a marketing campaign because you check it, there's a visual, there's a human in the loop there, and you know what is going out and so forth. So, and then guardrails are going to be increasingly important. Like you can do that, and you can also put some bounds on what it can and cannot do, or where it can get the data from, right? Because you can say your data has to come from this database of authorized information. Then you reduce the chance of any type of errors creeping into your final decision.
Yeah. Any questions? Well, thank you all so much. For follow-up again, please register for the workshop. Please come to our Agent Catalyst breakouts to go deeper kind of in how they work. And please stop by the booth and talk more about the architecture, what Bedrock can do. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.